Okay, so what brought me here to this point of my life? Well, I have always had a dual career, as you might say, in both advertising and in the theater. I would love to have gone into the theater, but you know, as my mother said, you can do whatever you want, I will support you, but you know, and then she'd come back with, theater's a great avocation. I hate that word, avocation. So I always did both. And as the advertising career waned, mostly because I really didn't give two fucks about the business, I gravitated more to making theater my full-time job. I sort of segued into it by using my advertising skills as a marketing director for Abingdon Theater Company for about 4 years. And then I realized I was just, you know, more advertising but with theater. But I started acting like almost everybody does. And I did the whole gamut. I did college theater, I did community theater, I did some regional stuff, I did a tour. And I realized I was aging out of the roles that I was perfect to play, wimps, simps, imps. And so then I started directing, because you know, being Irish, Italian, Catholic, in advertising, I'm a control freak, so I like directing. And as I was doing that, you know, I was realizing, okay, I'm having fun with this, but I'm not pursuing this the way I should be. And around the same time, my career in advertising shifted, and I went from being an art director to a copywriter, mainly because copywriters went home at 6 o'clock. And I liked writing. It was fun, it was easy. So I started writing reviews for Off-Broadway Review, and I loved the writing. I did not like who I was turning into, and when somebody referred to me rather blatantly as the John Simon of Off-Broadway, I thought, okay, that's it, I'm done with that. Around the same time, I had developed a friendship with Carrie Libling, who was the head of Vidal Children's Theater, and she kind of pushed, prodded, cajoled me into writing a show for her. And I did. I wrote the book for a musical version of Shakespeare's The Tempest. It was very successful for them. They asked me to do another, so I did the following year, which was As You Like It. Lots of fun, very successful for them. And then Carrie went home to Toronto, and that was the end of that. I started writing with a collaborator, another writer, and we wrote some good scripts, one of which was a semi-finalist at O'Neill and had readings at Abingdon before I was involved with them, and at the Chocolate Factory, the Menu Chocolate Factory in London. And then I started writing on my own, and this was where I really felt the most comfortable. This was where I felt, okay, yes, this is the passion. This is what it is. It took me a long time to get there, but now I'm there, and it's glorious. And now I'm getting produced, and it's a real high. I like it. Produce me some more. Write big checks. New York Theater. What do I think about it? All right, this is I could get into trouble here. I've been around a long time. I started seeing Broadway shows in 1973. It was my first show was Debbie Reynolds and Irene, and for the longest time when I was a child and a teenager, Broadway was the thing. I discovered Off-Broadway when I was in my 20s, and that was much more adventurous. And I think as I've gotten older, theater in New York has gotten more adventurous. There are more venues, there are more outlets. I think the really interesting stuff, the really risky stuff, is being done in the independent theater, being done in the fringe theaters, in the little places down in the East Village and the West Village and Upper West Side. Broadway, I mean, that's the goal. Everybody wants to have a Broadway show. I want to have one of my shows on Broadway. I mean, who doesn't if you're in the theater in New York or anywhere? But the reality of Broadway is the economics are insane. For a non-musical, you need to have a star to make it work and pay off. It's a risky business. Off-Broadway is not a great economic model. They're working on ways to make it one, but it's still hard. So I think the really adventurous stuff, the really fun stuff, and the place for emerging playwrights, and that is what I am at this ripe old age of the age I am. That's where you go. That's where you do. That's where you get your stuff done, and that's where the fun is. I mean, one of the things I like about doing the festivals is not just being able to see my show up on its feet, which is a gift, but it's to get to see what everybody else is doing too, and you see the shows and you're like, shit, that's really good. I hate them. Or, it's like, wow, that's wonderful. I'm thrilled to be in the company of playwrights like this, with actors like this. And the other thing that I'm finding very interesting in the last 10 or so years, maybe longer, it's actually been since Urinetown hit it big at the Fringe Festival, is that the talent pool is greater than it was. There are so many more actors and directors, with Broadway credits who are working on this level because they want to work, and this is where they get the chance to work on things, to do roles, to direct shows they'd never get a chance to do. And that's exciting. Case in point, I'm going to brag a little. Early readings of the Philly trilogy, we had Kevin Ligon playing Philip. Broadway actor, mile-long resume, fabulous performance. The only reason he's not doing this production is because, I guess working with Bette Midler and Hello Dolly is, how do you say no to that? So, but we got David Sabella to play the role. And David is phenomenal. David is fabulous. David was on Broadway in the revival of Chicago. He's got an opera career. He's terrific. And he's working on this show because it's a role he'd probably never get to play otherwise. And that thrills me. And when I see other shows like this where I've seen Nancy Opal in off Broadway stuff. I've seen who else? Tyne Daly has done, big names, and they're wonderful. And yes, it does sort of play into the star-driven thing, but again, you get to work with wonderful, wonderful people, and that's exciting.